Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm here as often I am at the very beginning of a month to dive in with you to the YouTube hop video for a cherry on top. And this month is the beginning of November, and our focus, I'm just gonna, speaking of focus, adjust this a little bit. Our focus is gratitude. And I love that focus, really. And every November, I try to do some sort of gratitude project. And sometimes it's simpler, and other times it's a daily practice. And this month I'm going to do, I think, something a little bit in between, like aim for daily, but be really like give myself a lot of grace if I just want to like skip a few days and fill up this little book. So let me tell you, I've just put a lot of supplies out here to kind of give you an idea of how I approach this sort of project. And I am using, this is the cover I just really quickly put together. I'm using 49 in Markets, one of its spiral, see, what are they called? Kind of like, it's a mini album, but I think they come in sets of 2, and it's a spiral notebook collection. And all of their lines, or many of their lines, have them. This one happens to be Nature Study. And so I thought it'd be really good for gratitude documented because it's just very neutral, kind of golden, brown, tan backgrounds with a little bit of text paper and texture in the designs, and some ledger, and just right, I think, for the way I like to approach this project. And so gratitude documented, I didn't want to put all of that on the cover because it was just too much for this relatively small book. So I used the Simple Stories, simple vintage letter stickers from their sticker book, and just put the title Gratitude and 23, because I usually, as I said, I have a collection of these from different years. And yeah, and that was it. So I took a picture of myself outdoors with my just holding a leaf, and just to kind of set the autumn vibe here on the cover. I think inside, in some cases I'll use photos, but in many cases I will not. You might wonder, like, what's the structure? Is it just like what you're grateful for that day? My own approach tends to be, I'm trying to find this card now, I put so many things out here. My own approach tends to be biblical. Because I'm a Christian, and I'm really tuned in to the projects that have a kind of focus on a different Bible verse and a different aspect of gratefulness each day. And so I guess I probably will come across this card buried in something here. I had set it out to show you, but a company called Illustrated Faith puts out like prompts and for their project that has a Instagram community. But you can find different communities that do gratitude documented in different ways. And the nice thing about finding a community is there's a little bit of accountability, you learn from one another, and you have a kind of built-in structure. So, so first of all, to say a little bit about the cover, as I said, just a photo. I used some sequins and one die cut, and I'm going to talk about my supplies in a minute. I love this little squirrel paperclip. I just happened to have this, and I thought that would be a good way to mark my page as I go through. But before I get into what I want to work on for November 1st, let me say just a little bit about the kinds of supplies I use for a project like this and the way I set them up. I've done it in a bit of a haphazard way, but I'll probably like gather them into a tray and just make it really easy to go to the tray, grab a few things, do my focus for the day, some, reflection on gratitude, some prayer. And it's like a really beautiful practice for this time of year, or really for any time of year. But I love it in November when we do have Thanksgiving and that focus. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what is handy. I'm going to number each of the pages and date them. So a date stamp is good, and I'm using this one that just it's from the Point Planner from American Crafts. But any date stamp that's your favorite is a good thing to have in your tray or to have handy. I'm using some number stamps, again from my stash, and I'll either number the day or date it, or in some cases maybe both. So that's part of the whole thing for me. So those, you'll see that in a minute. And then I have some, as you can see, I have some trays here with die cuts, and these are really handy for layered, you know, to do a little layered cluster along with the typed Bible verse, the prayer, the photo, whatever you want to include that day. And so the die cuts that I pulled, these are from Simple Stories, and they're like wood grain flowers, like really simple. And so I put a bunch of those in this little dish. As you know, I used this Fabulous from Simple Stories for fall pages, and I still have some of those die cuts left, so I've thrown those in the tray. And you know, I might want to put a pumpkin in, but if not, there are definitely really nice autumnal flowers in that set. The other die cuts are from Fancy Pants. This is from their Enchanted Garden line, and I think some are in this tray. I've mixed them a bit. And this is from this really beautiful line called Paisleys and Petals. And what I particularly love about this is that I will want kind of a pop of color here and there, and I like that teal with all the neutrals, just a little bit of teal here and there. And so I think that's probably going to be part of what I do. Even my photo, I got, you know, blue jeans, a little bit of teal in my sweater, just to kind of set the tone for that. Acetate leaves, I used these on another project, but again, so many of them left. And something like Gratitude Documented, you can, you know, use a lot and keep a kind of continuity as you add them. These are really gorgeous rub-ons from the Spice line by 49 in Market, and I haven't had a chance to use them yet, and this will be a perfect project for those. And again, the autumnal colors with just a little bit of that tealy patina blue. Okay, some copper paper. I've been using copper paper on cards with die cut, steel dies, and so I don't know what I'll do with this, but just a reminder that that's really fun for autumn, that coppery color. This I think is more of a holiday stencil, but I like the shape of it and the leaves, and so I think I'll probably use this stencil throughout. You can choose one or two stencils, obviously, or more. I had another one. Let's see, I had a couple others. Here's one from Echo Park that is also leaves, but, you know, in a smaller form. And as you know from layering stencils, you can just use a little bit. You don't have to use like a whole lot of it, especially if your book is small. And then this is just a texture stencil, and these are a lot of fun if you want to just add a little bit of splatter but not necessarily do the splatter, just use your ink pads. So I like to have those on hand for this kind of project. You'll see that I'm using some fabric, and I pulled that out and already have prepared some of it for the first page. Washi tape, yeah, of course. Lots of washies, and there are so many great fall washies. Many of these are from Simple Stories, you know, the really standard plaids. This one is really cute with apples and so forth on it. Some is from the Fabulous with the ravens and the orange flowers. One with hearts, that's always nice to include. I also really love sequins, so I got some in coppery colors. And I also have one that's like a brighter yellow, and you can see from my cover that I felt like a little pop of yellow was good there on the cover. Okay, so I'm covering most things, I guess. Stamp sets. This is the apple set from Catherine Pooler, and I had used this on other projects earlier in the fall, but I think this could be fun too. It comes with some dies, so I might die cut some apples and just have some handy, like throw them in the tray, and they're good for layering too. Watercolor. I like to sometimes put down a little watercolor before I do the cluster or the layer, and this is an Archer and Olive set, and so it's just good to have on hand. And then this, and I've got others. There's one made by Prima. Some sort of metallic watercolors are really good for like splatter. Black is good for that too, but there's something really nice about using metallics, I think, in the November projects. Okay, and then besides the apple stamp, I've got some Tim Holtz stamps I want to use. I love using these tiny florals just for the edge, you know, just to do a little stamping here and there. Again, definitely not the whole thing, but just a little bit of the design. Now these leaves you can see are probably like just way too big for this, some of them, but I like the oversized big leaf that I can then do along an edge. And so I think those are good. I know I'll use them throughout the album. And one thing I'd like to do with this set is like stamp it black or brown and then use colored pencils just to bring in a little bit of color. So we'll see how that goes. This is just one of my favorite sets. And again, to just go along the edge for a little texture, especially that library stamp or just some letters. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with fall, but I think it's good to pull one that is a favorite that you like to use in little bits here and there just to add a little stamping and a little of that kind of texture. You'll see that I feel like this project for me is all about, besides being about gratitude, on the aesthetic level, it's all about texture. So this combination obviously is going to give me lots of different kinds of textures. I also have some tags to type Bible verses on. Oh, the sun's coming out, so I don't know if that'll be good or bad. In a way, it's just feeling very intense after it being kind of dark. But okay, so let's move to the page for the 1st of November. And what I did was I typed this little Bible verse, which is from the prompt sheet, which is here somewhere, still haven't come across it. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord, from Ephesians. And so this is a focus then that'll be focused on a prompt that will help me focus on gratitude for music, for all the ways that it helps us relax, it helps us celebrate, it helps us bond with one another. And I just think that's a really beautiful way to start. I did use the fabrics that I showed you, and, you know, very simple. Just cut pieces of them and layered them up. And so this gives us some sort of golds and greens with a little touch of pink to start with that tea stain color of the tag. And so I'm going to adhere this first. And I know I want a little room on this side. And also the nice thing about these little mini books is if something comes over the edge, that just adds to that sense of texture. And it's going to be like chunky and textured by the time I'm done. Okay, so with that done, I know there are two things that I want. And I hope I didn't like somehow put these elsewhere. Oh, I think I got a phone call, and that's why things are in the other room. Hold on one second, and I'll get the rub-ons. All right, I'm back without them. Oh, here they are. Here they are. Good, good. I don't think I mentioned them, but this is going to be, I knew that would be, okay, and here's the card with the prompts. Good. They were just buried on the desk, but buried. So I know I want to use these 49 in Market rub-ons that have a music theme, because it's just right for this Bible verse, right? And you never know. That's why I like a stash. You know, I get something that I think is cool, and then think, I'll find a use for it. So I did. So I'm going to use these. And then this is just the prompt card. So singing and making melody is the first prompt. Okay, so let's go right to the rub-ons. They're so cute. I like the piano a lot, and I like the guitar, but I think I don't know. I think I have more room. Oh, the violin is really cool too. I think I want to work on this side, and it angles this way and have a little more room for this one. So I'm going to start with this. And as you know, it's a pretty good idea to cut it off of the sheet so that you don't accidentally transfer ones you don't want to transfer. And I think it's okay maybe to get those dots of color in there too. So get my little textury thread out of the way. Make sure I can read the Bible verse. I don't want to cover it up. I don't want that to be too far off. So I do think I'm going to cut some of these off and apply them later at a different spot. There we go. And what I like about rub-ons is they're really easy to put over an edge like this, like put on the tag and next to the tag. That can be a little tricky with stamping, but it's really easy, I say now, with rub-on, so hopefully this will come out okay. In my experience, it does, as long as you know, give it pressure. I'm just using this little rub-on tool that comes with the 49 in Market rub-ons, but there are all sorts of tools out there for applying rub-ons. And the nice thing too about them is you can test pulling up an edge to see how well it's coming, and you can put it back if you need a little more rubbing somewhere. But beautiful. I think that came out just fine. So I have my little music themed tag and this music motif. And I want to do a little more. This is more of a black and white, so I'm not sure I want to use that, but I do want to include a little more of this kind of decorative background. So I'm just cutting right in and around. I'm going to put some of this on this side. Although I have to keep in mind I want to stamp that one. So this might just be more. You can see the music notes, they're quite small. Yeah, sorry about the sunshine all of a sudden. It's always a problem with light when making videos, how it can change when you're relying on natural light. Okay, and this does not need to adhere as perfectly because it's just texture and a little more background with the music notes. There, and so then that peeks out from underneath the fabric. Let's grab those numbers. I pulled out 3 colors to use in Gratitude Documented. I might end up adding more, but Spice Marmalade, Rustic Wilderness, and Tea Dye, all distress oxides from the Tim Holtz and Ranger line. Now, let's see how this paper stamps. And I do have some stuff on the back here, so I'm going to have to kind of hope it doesn't interfere with the stamping. No, beautiful. I almost always think that, I think that the 49 in Market paper is really good for stamping. So it doesn't surprise me, and it does make me happy, because I don't like it when it's like really shiny and hard to write on and hard to stamp on. It seems very counterproductive for that type of product. You know, that's we're expected to use in a certain way. So 49 in Market is great at making it stamping friendly. And just putting a little bit more color in there with the dark green for the picking up the fabric, and then doing it just a little bit off center, which is kind of my vibe. Yeah, and I think you will ultimately see this with some sequins on it, and I will perhaps do a little bit of writing, because I do feel like throughout it I'll add some of my own thoughts, prayers, that sort of thing. But because I like this, I'm going to give you a little taste of what these sequins will look like. I think all of these mixes are going to go really well with the background and with the color scheme I'm working with. And then, yeah, I might get a paintbrush and some water and just do a little splatter too. So you'll see that in the final project, which will be posted, as always, on Instagram. But be sure now to hop along to the other people on the design team who are doing some really amazing, wonderful gratitude layouts and projects and cards. So have fun with that. Be sure to leave comments, and that way you'll be eligible for store credit. Thanks for showing up.